Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I thought I would show you some of my absolute favourite foot massage moves. Now these won't be anything that you haven't seen on the channel before, but these will be moves that I always feel get a result. They always help to relax the customer or the client. And the main thing is that I find that if someone's very tense or can't relax or has ticklish feet, I tend to find that these movements can help to tackle that. So if you've been watching the channel for years, you might have heard some of the stories over the years, and these include people who have told me that they absolutely cannot bear to get their feet touched, but for one reason or another, they're with me and they're actually about to have a reflexology or they're about to have their first foot massage. I get funny situations where somebody has said to me before, please don't be offended if I kick you. It's nothing personal, but if I kick you in the face, it's just because I get jumpy. I'm pleased to say they didn't kick me in the face and they actually relaxed into it and now they like foot massage. And you also get situations where sometimes people have very flexible, very bendy feet. Sometimes their feet naturally come inwards when they're relaxed. Sometimes they go outwards when they're relaxed. Sometimes they might actually tense them up and they sit like this. And you're trying to help them relax, but they can't relax and their feet are just absolutely stiff. And you have to learn how to work around this. Sometimes it's not the easiest thing for somebody to say, oh, sorry, I'll just relax. Because they can't relax. They don't know how to relax. They don't know how to allow those muscles just to ease off, and it can be for so many different reasons. So what you've got to do is to learn how to work with someone for that. So these are some of my favourite massage moves on the feet that just help me get a result, whether it be start to relax the client, ease off some tightness, or just have somebody saying, oh, that was just the loveliest massage. I really feel treated. I feel like I've had a luxury treatment. So we'll start off with the one that we always start off with. If you are not sure how someone is going to respond to your touch, if they're a bit agitated, if they're a new client to you, then what you can do is hold the feet like this, because what you're doing is introducing your touch. You're introducing the firmness of your touch. And if they're a bit twitchy, then what you're doing is you're actually, it's quite funny because I think it's almost like when someone's holding a pet and they're not sure how it's going to respond. You're actually holding the feet just in case the person's a bit twitchy or they jump or they kick. You're actually taking subtle control of the situation. It's not that you're the boss, but you are the one that's in charge of this massage and you want this person to feel safe and secure with you during this treatment. So what you're doing is you're taking control of the feet, you're holding them firmly, and you're letting this person know that you can be trusted, that you know what you're doing, that you've got a nice firm pressure. But what you never want to do is just be very meek and mild with it and just very floppy and, oh, I'm not really fussed and ticklish. They don't like that. Likewise, people don't want you to be so firm that they feel as if you're actually draining the blood out of that area. So it's all about balance. But with effleurage, what you can be doing is talking to the client just to relax them, just to get a feel for how they are that day. And whilst you're talking to them and they're starting to switch off and starting to enjoy the treatment, you are assessing them, but you're also assessing the area. So you're feeling for tightness, you're feeling for crunching, you're feeling for anything that speaks to you that you're going to have to focus on, or possibly a contraindication or a special care requirement that you weren't aware was there. And this is all just while you're doing that treatment, just that initial effleurage. And then again, you're working from foot to foot. Now, what you can also do in certain treatments is cover one foot with the towel or a cover while you're working on the other one. Some people like that. Some people find it irritating. Everyone's different, so it's best to ask. Different times of year, the room might be colder, so you might want to cover the foot that you're not working on. But what you're doing here again is warming up the tissues, preparing the tissues for more intensive massage moves, but you're also getting to know that client. Some people will just doze immediately. Some people will ask you lots of questions. Sometimes you'll be asking someone if you know them, how they're doing. Other times they're asking you if you can do other things for them, or they just want to know what's been happening. There are so many different ways that your initial start of the treatment can go. But in an ideal world, what you're aiming for within the first 5 minutes is to get your client settled down and to encourage them to relax. But as I've said before, see if they want to talk for the full hour, don't fight it, because if that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. So your effleurage is a brilliant move. Even if it was the only move you could do, if you do effleurage well, then it's something that will always work in your favour because it feels really good, it relaxes, it stretches, it warms. And remember, you're working down to the heel and back. Now, another move that I absolutely love is when we do, it's like a friction move and it's twists. So your fingers are twisting and your thumbs are twisting. I love this because it really helps to stretch out the foot. It feels so good. There are certain times when it's best not to do this if someone's quite frail or they've got any reason why they can't have any stretching manoeuvres on the foot. Maybe they've got joint, ligament or bone issues. Avoid this, but it feels so nice. A lovely big stretch. So this can be a move that if it wasn't done with enough pressure, it could be very ticklish. So it's got to be just the right pressure. But again, communicate with your client. Unless they're sleeping, you can judge it. Another move that I love is when you get the knuckles in your hand and you support the foot and you press and release, press and release. And this is really good for stretching out the feet when you don't realise that you've got tired feet, tense feet. Maybe you do a lot of exercise, maybe you walk a lot, maybe your job involves you standing on your feet a lot. Also, if you are quite bad for crushing your feet into shoes that maybe aren't the most comfortable, it's a great massage movement. And then what you can do is just wiggle where the toe joints are, just where they meet the foot. Just give it a little wiggle there, and that feels good too. Think about all the muscles in your feet that we tend to neglect. And we treat our feet, we do take them for granted and we can be quite harsh on them. So just giving them a good old stretch. I love doing this move. And I love if I get a treatment, which unfortunately isn't that often. I love it when I get the feet treats such as that. Another one is, again, not for everyone, but just rubbing the feet up and down. Now this is a good indicator of how supple somebody's feet are, or if they're a bit tight and tense, because if they're really clenched up, when you do this, the foot will not do anything. It will stay like that and you'll be fighting against it. But if someone's very loose, when you're doing this, the foot can be like, oh, it's going everywhere because it's just completely loose, completely relaxed. So this is a good judge of how relaxed somebody is too. And again, it's a nice warming move. It's an invigorating move. It's also a move you can use near the end of a massage when you want your client to start coming back into the room if they have dozed off, because it encourages them subconsciously to realise that the most relaxed part is finished and we're coming back into reality. We're finishing off the massage. Another move I love doing, which is a reflexology move, is called milking. And it's just in between the toes. It's a lymphatic drainage move. Support the foot. And then what you do is you hook in with the gap in between your thumb and your index finger, in between the toes, and you squeeze up. Now I love this because it's a lovely feeling move. And what you can do after the main big toe and the first little toe, it's actually too hard to get in with your thumb and your index. So what you do is you just start the same move, but you don't have to try and get the manipulation in between the toes because there's not enough space there. So it changes into the same move, but just using the tips of the fingers. And again, lovely move to do, lovely move to incorporate into your treatment. And if this was a real-time treatment, this would be slower, so I'm probably pacing it a little bit too quickly. I would slow it down. And one more move that I really enjoy is just stretching out and doing circles on the toes. You don't realise that it's such a simple move to do. And yet, be honest, None of us do it. But giving those little toes a circle and a little stretch, they'll love it. Toes appreciate it. And again, sometimes you feel a bit of crunching. Sometimes there's a bit of resistance. Tends to be when you get to the tiny little toes, you can see who's been crushing their feet into different shoes, but we can't help that. Fashions, sometimes you've got to wear a certain type of shoe. It used to be as well, it was really hard to get shoes to fit. If you had wide feet or larger feet, sometimes you didn't actually have easy access to the sizes, so you had no option but to take a narrower shoe than your feet naturally were, or a smaller size because they didn't go up to your size. And I think in the last 10-15 years it's easier to get shoes to fit, but the amount of people that say even 15-20 years ago, if you were a size and they only went up to a certain size in the shops, you just had to bite the bullet and get a size that was maybe a full size or half a size too small or too narrow, and you just had to put up with it. So it's not always vanity, it's not always because you wanted to wear those certain shoes. Sometimes you had no option, and sometimes it's genetic too. So what I'm really saying is there, don't judge. And also, if you're a therapist, don't be nosy, because sometimes I have been on the other side, and even though it's not intentional, the therapist has made an assumption and it's been wrong. And I'll tell you the one that springs to mind for me is when I was actually training and we were learning to do fake tan, and it was at the time, at the very beginning, when it was the cream fake tans. I think Saint-Tropez had just come out. And I was learning to fake tan, and for some reason or another there was a little split in my gloves. So what had happened was a couple of my nails had actually stained a little bit yellow, and it was just fake tan, no big deal. And then while we were training, another therapist was doing my nails, and she said to me, "Eating curry last night?" And I was like, "What? Eating curry last night?" It's like, "No, what makes you think that?" She went, "Oh, your nails are all yellow." I was like, no, it was when we were doing the fake tan. And that was actually a lesson to me when we were training. And I thought, never presume, because it wasn't something that I took offence to, but I never forgot because there was a presumption there. And what if you said it to someone and they did take offence? So if you notice something, don't feel that you've got to be inquisitive and ask. Obviously, it's different if you know someone, but you can put two and two together and you can be so wrong. So just because you see something on somebody's foot, or you're curious as to what happened, maybe they've got a scar, maybe they've got a toenail missing, if they don't want to give you that information and you don't require it in the consultation, then you might just have to accept that it's none of your business. But what I will say is, a lot of the time when it's something to do with the foot, people want to tell you. So I have had people before that have had reflexology and they might have some toenails missing, and the first thing they say is, "Oh, don't worry about my toes, I'm really sorry, I'm a marathon runner and I've just lost a few because I've been running." So don't worry if it's something that someone actually wants to tell you immediately. It can just be that they're absolutely fine with it. But if they're not fine with it and you don't need to ask, don't. So I hope you enjoyed that. That was just some of my favourite massage moves, and also a little venture into some of the things that as therapists we need to ask and also don't need to ask. And as always, I hope that you enjoyed that. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, I would massively appreciate it if you do, and I will see you again soon.